Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Carla and I am so delighted to be here today to share with you all the progress that I have made on my projects throughout the month of May. I know we're not quite at the end of May yet. It is Wednesday the 27th, but I found a good slot in my day to be able to record, so why not? I mean, it's only a couple of days till the end of the month. So welcome to everybody, and also to any new subscribers that are stopping by and haven't been here before. So primarily all of my, well, 99% of my projects are full coverage. So if you don't like full coverage, then this probably is not the video that you would like to see. And I do work very small counts. So I'm working on mostly 25 count fabric for nearly all of my projects, I would say. So here I've got my lovely setup, and I was just thinking how nice this little bowl of floss looks. I was thinking, goodness me, that could be a nice substitute if you don't have any decorative items or any fresh flowers. What would be better than a bowl of floss? And I've particularly chosen some very vibrant colours here to indicate that we are coming into the summer and we're having a heat wave here in Scotland. They say it's only going to last for a couple of days, and that's a little bit, well, it's both good and bad because we're kind of suffering with this heat at the moment. It's only been going on for like 2 days. Last week we had the heating on because it was so cold, so I don't know what's going on with that. It's very strange. But anyway, so here we are, and I will really have these in the bowl because I was kitting up some things. So let's get on to the projects and see what I have worked on this month. Okay, so I'm all set up here with my pieces that I like to iron and get ready for kind of showing off. So the first one I'm going to start with is called Vatican Sunset. This is a Thomas Kincade piece, and I'm working it on 25 count 2/110 stitch. I can't remember when I started most of these. It would have been in, this one would have been in last year, end of last year at some point. And it's Heaven and Earth design, and I can actually give you information on how many stitches I've done, because I made a new spreadsheet which logs how many stitches I've done, but I don't have to input the actual stitches that I've done. I just update how many stitches have been done overall, not over a daily period. And by updating the overall amount of stitches each time, it gives me all the other stats. So yeah, it can be a bit complicated without explaining it fully, but that's fine. So here we have Vatican Sunset. This is Thomas Kincade, as I said, and I can tell you that I have worked 1,500 stitches on this piece. So this is the one that I have worked on. I've put the second most amount of stitches in this month, and it's at 17.85%. So I'm working sort of across from left to right. I really, really do love these colours. The purples and the sky is just really phenomenal. I can't wait to come down into these bits here, which have got the little lights that look like little city lights. I think that's going to look stunning, and I can't wait to see how that works out. And this beautiful dome here is just so incredible. So I don't know, I was working like limited cross country, and then I decided I'm going to go over here and do a bit of, I don't know if you call them royal rows, where you just go down with one colour and park and then go down. And I think sometimes when I do that sort of thing, it's because I'm tired and I just need a little break from counting. And it's not as much counting as deciding to do typewriter method, say. But I'm quite pleased. So where I've worked on mostly, where I put the 1,500 stitches, is mostly around this area here, I'd say. So there is a big difference between last month and this month. So I'm always tempted to work down and do more of this dome, but then I think if I leave too much of the top, big gaps, or if I leave too much sky, you know, then it feels like I have to go back and do it as like a penalty or something, like some kind of punishment, which it isn't really, because it's not difficult stitching to do the sky. It's fairly simple compared to like this area that's going to have loads of confetti and stuff. But yeah, I want to, I'm a little bit directionless with this one at the moment. So I am I have done a good deed by going back up and keeping up with the sky and not sort of venturing down. But then I also don't see anything wrong with venturing down. So I'm kind of going to leave it till, to the mood and see what strikes me. But just remember that when you're doing these big pieces, and if you do sort of scuttle down with your thread and do like lots of stitches down here, you're not going to be able to take that off again. So that's where you're at. So that's just one thing to remember. So if you want to have nice, neat lines, it's best not to go too far down the chart. Apart from that, there's not much else to say about this one. It hasn't come out as many times, maybe 3-4 times this month, which isn't too bad, but I wanted to give it more stitching, but there's other things that have sort of taken a bit more priority. One of them being the Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along, which I'm also going to update you on. So the next one I have to show you is my giant piece. Let's just get this one out of the way first while I have it neatly set up here. So the next one is called Riverwalk Charm, and it's Heaven and Earth Design again. Who is the artist? Ruane Manning. And I've managed to complete about 730 stitches this month. Now this is such a big one. It's not a super size, so when you see the size of this, you can just about imagine what a super size would be like if you've never done one before. And I promise you I did iron these, but they don't look it right at the moment. So I could continue scrolling a little bit more. So I'm going to show you where I worked this month, and I finished this page. So this section here is an entire page which I managed to finish, and I've moved on to this side. So again, I've done this kind of like doing 2 or 3 blocks and then parking and then doing 2 or 3. So I'm going to kind of try and get a little bit of a border here, and then either go down to here and finish this section so I have a nice, chunk, or just try and bring this right side down. But when I look at it like this, I think it looks great. But when I think about how much more I have left to do, I mean, just look at that tree. Just look at the shine on the side of that. The colours are phenomenal. And I'll just keep going so you can see the whole thing, because it really deserves to be admired, I think. It's taken me 5 years to get this much done. It shouldn't have taken me that long, but I've also done a lot of other stitching, a lot of other pieces at the same time. I'm literally down to this side, but that I don't even think that's the bottom. I think we've got to go another couple of blocks. But it really does look impressive to me, and I'm glad that, I can remember the time when I was up here and I was somewhere down this corner thinking, oh, I haven't even got anywhere close to the buildings, and look where I am now. So yeah, a little bit every day surely makes a difference. So this is new, the bottom of this page is new, and that's 700, not a lot of stitches this month, unfortunately. Like I said, I've had, this hasn't been the priority piece at the moment, but it has been for quite a bit of this year, to be honest. I've managed to get, I think, most of this area done this year. So it's 58.55%. And I think to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could get to 60% on this one by the end of this year? But again, not going to put goals, because I want to get, well, it could happen. It depends how many stitches need to be done. But then when I start looking into it and adding up and doing all the statistics and trying to figure out how many stitches I need to do and when I need to do them, that I end up feeling pressured, and that just doesn't work for me. So normally since I stopped saying I'm going to do X, I end up working on them more, because I don't feel like anybody's pushing me to do it. I don't feel like I'm pushing myself to do it. So it depends on your character. So for some people it works better to get things done when they have set goals, and other people just don't work well with plans and pressure. So for me, it's a little bit, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm very good when I don't have any goal whatsoever, but I also know that pressure doesn't work either. So if there's no in-between, as I've said before, no in-between method of working, then I'll just continue soldering on the way I am. So yeah, this is where I am so far. Really love this. If I hadn't said, it's 25 count, 2/1 tent stitch, and I'm really glad I did it on that, because I would hate for the holes to be smaller, and I think it's an impressive size, but I think it's a size that's good enough for me. I wouldn't want anything bigger in my apartment, so I'm happy with that. And that's going to come out again, more than likely. That's going to come out again. Where do I put these? I'll just bung them down there and hope the cat doesn't lie on top of them. Next one I'm going to show you is my Heaven and Earth Designs piece. This is called Battle, and I can show you a picture. I'm going to be putting pictures up here of what they look like when they're finished, but if I do have a before picture, I'm also going to show that to you, so you can see the difference between what I had started with at the beginning of the month, what I ended with. If I actually can find a decent enough picture of it before I started stitching in May, then I'll show you. If not, I'm just going to show you what it looks like, you know, what the actual chart, what the design looks like in full. So I'm really happy with how much work I got this one in May. It has been a very steady priority piece this May, and I've managed to do 3,810 stitches. I'm at 36.54%, and here is my progress, and I think you can admit that there's a lot of progress in this one. So this is where we've got to, and I don't need to explain it. You can see what I've done. I got a really crazy moment and said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go and do a colour completion in the 310 black colour. And that's what I did here. I've always been too scared to do that. But this time I said to myself, nope, I'm going to do it. I just want to do it. I think I'd got to about here and thought, oh, I'm a bit tired of these pinks. I need to go down and do some black. So I came down, and then I looked at all this black on my pattern keeper and thought, you know what? That's not a huge amount of black. I can easily do that. The only problem is counting around here. So I have made mistakes when I've jumped, say, from here to over here and stuff like that. But because I've followed a path like that, I think we're safe. Because I'm generally good at counting within the small little areas that I'm counting in, but I'm not good with great big jumps, like 15, 20 squares ahead. Yeah, that's caught me out with a few of my charts in the past, and I've gone very, very wrong. So for instance, if there's some black bit around here, I think there is actually some 310 around in this right side, and I'm not touching it because I don't want to miscount and have to do frogging. So I'm going to leave that. So here, where you see this line, this is like one page up here. This is like another page. So I've done 1, 2, a little bit of 3. I've done 4, quite a bit of 5, not a little bit of 6. So basically, this squared off amount here is going to be my 6 pages that I need to finish. So basically that much, cut off a little bit of the end, that much is what I need to do to get my 6 pages finished. I think I can do that by the end of the year. I'm going to see, I think I kind of like working at the bottom as well, so I'm torn between continuing and finishing 6 pages and then going down, or just working as I fancy. So I'm a bit torn between that. I have been filling in around here. So most of my stitches went around this area. I brought everything down to a line, and then I know where my 6 pages are. If I want to finish my 6 pages, I can do that. So that's the choice. Or I can continue doing fiddly bits down here. I can do both, actually. I can work a little bit in the designated pages that I need to finish, or I can keep doing a little bit of cross country down here as well. I think I've got plenty of time left. If I keep bringing this out every, maybe 4 times a week, I think I can get the 6 pages done, even if I work a little bit on the bottom. So I think this is looking great. I like it. I like it a lot. So let's see if I can get how far I'm going to get at the end of May. That's just, I can't believe how much I've got done this month. I feel like I've been doing so many other things as well. That it's quite astonishing that I've got so much. It really does add up. A little bit of stitching every day, every couple of days on something makes such a huge difference in just 1 month. Okay, the next one is called Sunrise by the Sea. You may or may not know this one. It is a Letistitch kit that I have that I decided I was going to begin, because to be honest, at some point I was getting a little tired of the same projects over and over again, which I've been doing for years now. And I thought, right, I've got this one in the cupboard, I'm just gonna start it. And yes, it's on 16 count, which now is not really my favorite, but to be honest, I don't find it particularly scratchy for some reason. It's quite soft. So here is my little, very modest start at the top. And yeah, I think I'm very happy with that, actually. So I start in the corner and I'm just filling in colours. There's not a lot there. I find that I have to grid everything now because I don't really trust myself anymore without a grid. It's just, I don't know whether it's old age or what it is, but I just don't trust myself without a grid. So there's really not much to say about this. I enjoyed the little start. It's one to pick up when I'm tired of all the others, if you know what I mean. And I can just put 1 or 2 threads and then put it away. So there's no goals or anything like this one has to be done. There's no real goals on any of them. I don't like putting finished dates. Although I do think that next year I should actually see some finishes, because I've got to well over 50% on a lot of my pieces. Like I'm at 74% for my Sad Fairy piece, which I'm going to show you now, which is a lot. So yeah, I'm happy with this. This is good for me. And it's nice to see a little bit of a different design every so often when you're a little bit tired of the ones that you're doing constantly, seeing the same ones again and again. I was saying in my live stream that sometimes I get so sick of some of them that I just don't bring them out for weeks, and then I get a kind of renewed enthusiasm after a little while. So they don't disappear forever, let's say. Okay, the next one I want to show you is going to be Sad Fairy. And I didn't get a lot on her done either, but I did get about 700 stitches on her this month. So she's worthy of a look in. Oops. Let's have a look. She's at 74% now. And there is the full view-ish. Some more down here. And where did I work? Okay, I worked around this area. So the bottom of her wing. I can't really flatten it anymore, I don't think. There we are. So I worked more of this wing, and again, the same as I'm doing with the Riverwalk Charm, I'm trying to bring what I can down so that it's all kind of level. Once I get it all kind of level, then I can see what I've got left, more or less. And then I can decide if I want to do pages to finish off, or if I just want to do certain areas. I'm not sure. I really love how this blue came in. The blues in this are really beautiful. I do hope they are showing up on the camera. So this one again has been going for about 4 or 5 years. And there was a period of time where I did get tired of working on this one, and then I picked it up again and I was quite happy. So yeah, it's looking good. This area over here is pretty good because there's not a lot of confetti. I think everything inside these gaps are all one color, either 939 or 310. And a lot of this is like the background color, the blue, the sky. Yeah, the branches aren't too bad either. I think you kind of have to be in the mood for this piece because it has got quite a bit of confetti in the branches and especially around these flowers. But I think I'm more or less past I think they're called stargazer lilies. I'm more or less past them now. So I shouldn't be getting any more. I think could be another one down here. Not certain, but the confetti in these was pretty wild. But the rest of it, not too bad. So if anyone's thinking of doing it, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. And yeah, I think she looks lovely. She needs another good iron. It was hard to get creases out with this one. So yeah, that's Sad Fairy. She's on her way to a finish in the next couple of years, I'd say. I think she's got about 50,000 left, 49,000 left. It's not a huge amount, but it kind of is and isn't a huge amount. The next one I want to show you is a kit piece that I also brought out, and I had trouble with this one because I didn't like the chart. I had problems reading the chart, and I thought there was a very, very small chance I was going to UFO it, but I didn't. I persevered and I brought it out again, and I finagled with the chart, and I managed to read it decently enough. And this is called Gracious Era. It's a Dimensions kit. The artist is Alan Maley, and here is my progress. So what's new? All this area up here of sky, that has all been filled in. This is the part that drove me a little bit nuts. It was two colors, green and blue symbols. There were little triangles, green ones and blue ones, and they were all mixed up together. And I'd never seen anything that boggled my brain so much. And I persevered. I managed to print a larger print of it so that I was able to see the symbols more clearly. And I decided to go and do all the green ones first. So all this area is all the little green color, and everything in between is the blue color, plus a couple of other colors. So I think I've gotten over the worst patch, or at least what felt like the worst part of the chart for me, because this is actually a tree. So there's loads and loads of branches coming off it and backstitch. I'm not looking forward to that backstitch, to be honest, because it looks crazy, and it looks like it on the actual paper pattern. The backstitch is on top of the symbols. So there are some symbols in there you can't actually tell what color they are because there's a big black backstitch line on top of it. I do wish that Dimensions would give you a chart. I know some of them do, but this one, they don't give you a chart that has got backstitch on its own and another chart that doesn't have the backstitch, so that you can first do one and then look at the other one. No, they've got one chart with the symbols and the backstitch all clumped together, and it's really difficult to see what goes where. But as you can see, I've been doing the backstitch as I go along. So apart from this lady down here, her hat is backstitched. These two guys are backstitched. Her dress. I've even backstitched this woman here. These people are backstitched. I don't know. I can't really see if much of the building has been. No, I don't think the buildings have been, but the people have been, I think. So there isn't actually a huge amount to go with this for this one, but there is. It is fussy. It's like, I think it probably ends about here. Same width on either side. So there's still a fair bit to go. And there's another big horse and carriage here. So yeah, it's not, it deceptively looks like it's nearly finished, but it's not at all. But I do think it's very pretty. So I really didn't want to let it go, but I was really sort of a bit distressed about the chart and the colors. So I think, you know, going in the future, I'm not going to be buying any more kits. I'm going to finish the ones that I've got, but I'm not going to be buying any new ones. I just can't do it anymore with the symbols and everything. I don't know if it's because we've changed, because we're using digital now and it's changed our perception, or I don't know what it is, but I just feel much more comfortable with the digital versions of things, which isn't great, is it? Because if technology goes kaput, we're all in trouble, right? You know, because we'll never be able to finish anything. But hey, so that's Gracious Era. And I know some of you mentioned that you liked that one, so I'm glad I didn't put it in the I don't like a corner in the naughty corner. Okay, so here's another interesting chart. So I have this chart called Four Seasons Town, and I mentioned on a different video that I really loved it when I saw the Keystone Stitcher doing it. I think she's finished it, and I just fell in love with it. And I went to the place where she got hers, but they didn't sell it anymore. So I looked around and couldn't find it anywhere. It's like one of those that just gets... Then I saw that it was available in Etsy, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to get an Etsy version. I don't know who the designer is. And then I found that Painting Fairy had it, and at a very reasonable price actually. So I have to say to you, it was something like $18, $15, something like that, which is not very much. So I thought, well, you know, I like it. I've looked for it. It's $18. Why not snap it up? And I have got a lot more done on it this month. I've brought it out quite frequently. And it's on 18 count. So here is my progress. This is what I've got done so far. Sorry if I bump the camera. I've got it on my camera. Very I can't say the word, precariously on a stick. So yeah, here we are. And this one is big, but it's not the biggest stamped kit that I've ever seen. I've seen a lot bigger. I'm keeping this on my Nudge frame because I find it difficult to get on and off. So yeah, I think you can more or less see exactly how much I've stitched, even by leaving the hoop on. I finished the little, what do you call it, up here, top of the tower. And I've worked most of this tower, and I've also finished all those windows. I think I'd only just touched this red bit the last time. Hadn't done any of the tree. And now I'm into stitching this part here. And I'm using 3 strands because I had about 2 or 3 days of not being happy with 2 strands, not being happy with full cross, so I ended up with 3 strands tent, and for me that is perfectly fine. I found that I really like that. The coverage is great for me. It's really good, and 3 strands is about as much as I'm willing to do a large piece with. I think if it start going into 4 strands or 5 strands, I don't think I would have been as interested in working on it. So 3 strands is fine for me. And yeah, I love this piece. Every time I bring it out, I don't know what it is about it. It's just so quirky, and I think I like quirky things. I like something different. I don't like just always doing the same type of thing that like everybody likes. I like to do something a little bit different. And I think your standard cottages and things, I do love cottages and stuff like that, but they're always very samey. The little cottage, the little flowers, the little people, you know, they're beautiful, don't get me wrong. I was very tempted to buy the other kind of village scene that they had, which I think was even bigger than this one. But something drew me to this one, and I think it's the quirkiness. I don't know what else to say. And the changing colours here are beautiful. The vibrancy of these oranges and reds. I can only imagine what might be going on behind those windows. It looks like maybe a bit of a lunatic asylum or something. But it's very, very quirky, and I love that. Some people call it a Japanese style. I'm not sure if it looks hugely Japanese style, but I can see why they say that with the like lines and stuff, and sort of some of the shapes might be familiar. So yeah, this one is pretty long. Let's see, I can show you. It keeps going on right up to there. It is a bit all crunched up, which is a good thing because it's so stiff. If you try to hold it in any way, it's too stiff. But once you've got it a bit crinkled for a while, it tends to get softer, and then it's actually easier to hold and everything and stitch. So I just put this one onto my Lowry stand, or sometimes I just sit there with this thing all sort of as I had it in a lot better. I had it in a better way, so I curled it all up, and I'll show you how I stitch. because you might find when you've got a long one like this, you might find this is not too bad. So I actually make it a bit smaller than that. And I get one of these big grips for your hair, and I get it into there if I can. I can usually do better than that actually. And I put that one on the top part and I hold it in the bottom, hold the bottom section. And then I stitch, oops, sorry, bumped the camera. And then I stitch, and I'll probably clip that side as well. So I clip both sides and stitch in the middle. That actually works for me pretty well. So yeah, loving this one so far. I have to do that a bit better again. Loving, loving, loving this one. I want to bring this one out all the time, but I'm also aware that there's others that I need to get working on. Okay, so that's it, I think, for my regular projects that I've done. I do want to show you one more which I purchased from Painting Fairy, and it's called Music Gathering. And I purchased this one because I love Victorian type scenes, depictions of Victorian buildings, people, costumes, all that sort of thing, families. And I thought, oh, this is cute. So I got it, and there was a little bit of a problem with it. I don't want to go into too much depth into what it was, but it used some really strange stitch that I was not able to do because the fabric is just too thick, way too thick to get your needle into the middle of the fabric. I don't know how anybody does half stitches on the, I don't know how anybody does a quarter stitch on these thick fabrics. Like, you need the sharpest needle in the world, and then you kind of puncture the middle of the stitch, and then you've lost the symbol. You can't see what symbol it is anymore. It's just really, really fiddly. So this design is by somebody called Anthony Peck, or Pieck, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And I've seen it before when I was young. So this is like an illustration from like an 18th century painter. And it kind of, I remember thinking, I've seen that before, or when I was younger, it might have been, I had a school book with a picture like this on the cover. So the art style itself, I've seen before when I was young. And so it kind of drew me in. And then I thought, well, I love like the kind of Charles Dickens kind of scene. It's very different. So I thought, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. And then when it came and I saw the instructions, and I thought, oh my God, I can't, there's just no way I'm gonna be able to do this stitch. So the stitch I'm talking about that it says you have to do is literally a full cross stitch on a quarter of the original stitch. Now just see if you can get that into your head. This isn't on the whole piece. This is just in, a few little dotted stitches around. Thank God it's not the whole piece. But let me just say that again so you understand what I'm saying. It said on the instructions that you had to do a full cross stitch on 1/4 of the original stitch. So you could do 4 of those full cross stitches to complete the whole stitch. So the actual stitch that it tells you to do in some of these parts is a full cross stitch on 1/4 of the stitch and a 3/4 stitch on the rest of it to complete the stitch, if that makes sense. So that just blows my mind. Not only that, I cannot even get my needle through the middle of the stitch. So that was blown out of the window. So I thought, forget that, that's not happening. So I'm going to go ahead and just do my 2 strands full stitch and to hell with it, honestly, because I just don't, there is just no way I can do what they're asking to do. And I think it's because you might be able to do that on a 16 count soft kind of fabric. If you were doing it that wasn't a stamped fabric, you might be able to do 1/4 of a full stitch. Even then it sounds to me a bit hilarious, but definitely not on these massively thick pieces. So I'm going to show you here. So I thought I'm going to do it my way, and see how it looks. And if I like it enough, I'll continue with the piece. If not, it's going to be UFO'd. So here is what I did. I thought, let's just stitch his face where it tells you to do some of these crazy stitches, which I didn't do. And I think it looks fine. I'm quite happy to have that. I think the stitch that they were saying to do, well, I'm going to call it the crazy stitch, right? Because I've never seen anything like it. The crazy stitch in his eye, I don't think was necessary, because that to me looks perfectly fine. And I did a bit of the back stitch and I thought I can live with that. So I'm just going to stitch it my way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because if you look closely at the size of these stitches, there's just no way you can do a full cross in a quarter of the stitch. Just try to imagine it. I'm sure it's probably just with one strand, not with the two strands. But even so, I think I started to attempt it and then I just thought, no, this is not happening. So it was obviously not designed. That particular stitch was not designed for 18 count on a piece of fabric that is this thick and difficult to puncture, because it's difficult to, can be a little bit, you have to put some pressure even to get through the hole, let alone the middle of the stitch, which doesn't have a hole. So I hope I've explained that fairly well. But do you agree with me that it looks fine as it is and I don't need to worry about these crazy stitches? I think it's going to work out nice enough. And yeah, I think he looks cute. He's playing like a fiddle or a recorder or something. And the reason I chose this one is because I love Victorian stuff. I love Charles Dickens kind of scenes. And I thought this is nice and cheery and reminds me a bit of a Christmassy scene. So I might enjoy doing this one a bit during the Christmas season. I can see there's another woman here. So they're all singing and having fun. It is a music gathering. And it's not too big. This is not a huge chart, glad to say. So that's the full size of it. Sorry that it's all completely crazy and crumpled. I did not iron this one because I still had it in the hoop, as you can see. So yeah, bear in mind that some of these kits that you buy, I don't know about different places, but I know from Painting Fairy, it does not say, I did not read any of these special type of stitches on the description of this piece at all. Then when I got it, I saw the instructions could make no head nor tail of what it was trying to say. Then once I'd worked it out and tried it, I thought, this is never going to happen. No way I'm doing this either. It's just not possible, physically possible to do it. Maybe on a 16 count, it might, I'm not sure, but definitely not on an 18 count. Maybe on a 14 count, it might have been possible. But first, the stitches are too small to do a full cross in the corner of them, and yeah, but I don't think it's going to make a huge, I don't think anyone's going to even know, and apart from you now that I've told you, where that was supposed to, I think it was all along this pipe that you were meant to have a quarter stitch that looked like the holes or something. I don't know, it's not happening, folks. There's no way that I can even do that. So I wonder if anybody else who's done a stamped kit has actually had that same problem, has even seen that stitch on their instructions, and have they done it? Because funnily though, this one feels a lot softer than the new one, and I wonder if it's just because I've been handling this one a lot more. Quite possibly. So that is everything. These are all my pieces. Which one am I going to get back to today? I have no idea. Oh gosh, when you line them all up like this, doesn't that look fantastic? They're all screaming, stitch on me, stitch on me. That's like nearly all my projects now, when you count the 2 stamped, and I think there's a couple of them missing that I don't have here because I didn't work on them. Yeah, but that's the majority of the projects. It's not a lot, is it? And I just need to get a finish on these at some point. And probably it's going to be this one, I'd say, the HAED SAL. So, yeah, that's my update for May. It just feels like I haven't done a lot, but I think I have. It just doesn't look like much when you show it like this, but I feel like I have done quite a bit of stitching, and it has been an interesting month. There's been a few ups and downs health-wise. There's been stuff going on. Life is just full of surprises, let's say. Full of surprises. You don't know what's coming one day to the next. But there isn't really anything more to report. We got our flooring done, which is really nice. It's nice to have, brand new flooring. What we had before was it was okay, but it was old and worn down, and the wood was a bit splintered, and we thought we'd get some advice, and we just thought, well, we'll just put new flooring down and spruce the place up a bit, because it is a very old building, so there is going to be maintenance and upgrade. There's going to be maintenance needed quite frequently. I'm just looking forward to the next few weeks so that I can get a little bit more sunshine. I can get outside a bit more. I tend to hibernate a little bit in the winter, and it can sort of play with your mental health a little bit. Too much inward thinking and not enough interactions. So to get out a little bit more, I'm going out at the end of this month. I'll be meeting up with a friend. Let's see, there's just, bits and pieces that I'm planning to do. Also with my son, so yeah, he's doing fine. He's going to a training scheme once a week, so he's got something to look forward to. So it's about balance, I think. Did I read any books this month? I've started reading a book, and I'll put a picture of it on the screen. I think it's called We're All Guilty Here. It started off pretty interesting. It's one of these crime detective books, which are not my favourite genre, but I think the cover drew me in as well a little bit, and it's an interesting story so far. 2 young teenagers have been kidnapped. They were going to go to see a fireworks show, and their bicycles were found sort of ditched somewhere, and then this detective comes along, and police officer comes along, and she's looking into the crime, but she's the best friend. This police lady's the best friend of one of the victims, one of the girls that's been kidnapped. So it's all starting to blend into one of these, what's going on in this town. There's something wrong with this town. People are they keeping secrets and stuff like this. So it looks kind of interesting. I haven't read one of Karen Slaughter's books before, so it's going to be interesting to see what I think of it. I might even come back and let you know what I think of this book when I've finished reading it. And then there's a crochet sort of throw that I've started, which I want to get back to as well. Apart from that, there's nothing new. Everything's the same, and in many ways that's a good thing. I don't like massive changes in my life, especially if they're not for the better. So with that, I think I will love you and leave you, and say thank you very much once again for spending the time with me. I hope I haven't prattled on too much this time. And I have been asked about doing another live, and also doing more Stitch With Me's, and that is something that I wish I could sit down and find the time to do. So I'm going to actually plan one now and put and as soon as I can figure out when I can get myself together, I can put up an announcement as to when I can do a live, because I really do love coming on and having a chat and stitching with you at the same time. So my friends, take care of yourself, enjoy the weather wherever you are, and hopefully it's good enough for you. Take care, and I will see you very soon again. Bye for now.